8. Okay. Welcome to another episode of the Rambam's Hilchot Teshuvah, and we've advanced now to chapter 8. We're very excited about this, and of course, as usual, we'd like to dedicate this year in memory of Elisheva Yael Bat Leah, Velevi, and also for my father, that's Yehuda ben Moshe Esther. And with that, Michael, take it away.
Thank you, Rabbi Moshe. So chapter 8 deals with the concept of Olam Haba and the concept of a Moshiach, the Messiah. So, Halacha Aleph, Hatove Shasfuna L'Tzadikim Hi Chayai Olam Haba. The good that is hidden for the righteous is the life of the world to come. V'hi hachayim she'ein maves. This will be life which is not accompanied by death. She'ein imahen v'hatova she'ein ama ra'ah. And a good life which is not accompanied by evil. Hu shechatov b'Torah, as it is written in the Torah in Devorim, chapter 22, verse 7, L'ma'an yitav lach v'ha'achta yamim, so that good will be granted and you will live long. We see this in relation to the shiluach haken, which is the shooing away of the mother bird when taking the eggs. Rambam continues, Mepi hashmu'a lamdu, as the old tradition explains, L'ma'an yitav lach, so that good will be granted to you, La'olam shekula tov, in the world that is entirely good. V'harachta yamim le'olam shekula orech, in the world which is endlessly long, V'zehu olam haba, and this is the world to come. Schar hatzadikim, the reward of the righteous is that they will merit the pleasure and take part of this good. And partake in this good. And the retribution of the wicked is that they will not merit this life. Rather they will be cut off and die. So this is reward and punishment for the righteous and the wicked. One will take part in the Olam Haba and one will be cut off. Rambam continues, whoever does not merit this life, he is truly dead and will not live forever. Rather he will be cut off in his wickedness and perish as a beast. Zehu kores kores, and this is kores haktuva b'Torah, that's written in the Torah as in Bamidbar chapter 15 verse 31, a kores to kores hanefesh ha'i, the soul shall surely be cut off. So what a punishment for sinning, where you will not we don't have a concept for Olam Haba. Rambam will allude to it in the next few verses, but to be cut off from the potential world to come must be a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. So you must make sure that you don't put yourself in that position. Rambam continues, Mepi hashmu'a lamdu. Based on the repetition of the verb, the old tradition explains Hakoris ba'olam hazeh. Hakoris means to be cut off in this world. Tikaret le'olam, and tikaret, to be cut off in the world to come. Kaloma she'osa hanefesh shepresa min haguf be'olam hazeh. After these souls become separated from their bodies in this world, Eino zoche lechaye ha'olam haba elo gam min ha'olam haba nichretet. They will not merit the life of the world to come. Rather, even in the world to come, they will be cut off. Rambam continues, Ha'olam haba ein bo guf ugvia. In the world to come, there is no body or physical form. Ela nafshot hatzadikim bilvad belo guf kamalachei hashores. Only the souls of the righteous alone, without a body, like the ministering angels. So he's saying that in the world to come is a purely spiritual arena, and you will be fluid. Your souls will be fluid like angels. Hoil ve'en bo givius. Since there is no physical form, en bo lo la'achila v'lo shtiya. There is neither eating nor drinking. Lo dvar mikol hadvarim shegufot b'nei adam tzorichen lahem b'olam hazeh. Nor any of the other bodily functions of this world. V'lo eirad davar bo min hadvarim shema'arin legufot b'olam hazeh. None of the bodily functions of this world, like kogon yeshiva, like sitting, va'amidah, and standing, v'shena, and sleeping, umita, and death, va'atzev, and sadness, v'schok, and laughter, v'kayotze bahen, and the such like. So no physical attributes will be available, or physical functions will be available in Olam Haba. So this is an idea you have to understand. Kach amru chachamim harishonim. Thus, the sages of the previous ages declared in Gemara Barachos, Olam Haba en bo lo achila v'lo shtiya. In the world to come, there is neither eating, drinking, or sexual relationships. Rather, Elot tzadikim yoshvim va'at rosehem v'roshenem v'nehenim meziv hashchina. Rather, the righteous will sit with the crowns on their heads and delight in the radiance of the divine presence. Hare nisbarer lacha. From this statement, it is clear that she'en sham guf, there is no body. Lefi she'en sham achila u'shtiya, for there is no eating nor drinking. Zeh she'amru tzadikim yoshvim. And the statement that says the righteous will sit, derech chida amru, this is meant metaphorically. Kaloma hatzadikim mitzuyon sham below amal uvelo yigia. I.e., the righteous exist there without work or labor. So it's not a physical act of sitting, it's more that their spirits are relaxed, and they're in a state of sitting.
Or inactivity.
Or inactivity. Rambam continues, similarly, the phrase their crowns on their heads, this is implied, this is a metaphor that they will possess the knowledge that they grasp, which allowed them to merit the life of the world to come. And this will be their crown. Ke'inyon sha'amah Shlomo ba'atara she'itara lo imo. As this metaphor was employed by King Solomon in Kohelet chapter 3 verse 11, the crown with which his mother crowned him. So this crown that we're told of in Gemara Barachos is the level of understanding and wisdom reaped from this world, or the effort that you put into learning about Hashem's wisdom will be repaid as a crown, a metaphorical crown in the world to come. As you sow, so shall you reap. Rambam continues, V'harei hu omer, in Yeshaya, V'simchat olam al rosham. And similarly, the support for this concept about the physical crown can be brought from the prophecy in Yeshaya, eternal joy will be upon their heads. And joy is not a physical entity that can rest on a head. Or mahu kach atara she'amru chachamim kan hi ha'idiyah. Similarly, the expression crowned used by the chachamim refers to a spiritual concept. Sheyodin umashigin ma'amitas hakadosh baruch hu ma she'enam yodim behem baguf ha'efal heshafal. What is meant by the expression delight in the radiance of the divine presence? It means that they will comprehend the truth of godliness which they cannot grasp while in a dark and humble body. So things, please God, if we make it to Olam Haba, things will be clear to us if we act the right way, and we will understand things in a wholly different way. And it won't be constricted by our physical constraints of our within our consciousness as we now perceive them. So Rambam continues in Halacha Gimel, Kol hanefesh ha'amura b'inyan zeh, the term soul that we talk about when used in this context, Eina haneshama hatzricha laguf. This does not refer to the soul which needs the body, ela tzurat nefesh, but rather the form of the soul. Hashehi hadea shehasiga mehaboreh. This is the soul that the knowledge it comprehends according to its power. Similarly, it comprehends abstract concepts, and other matters. This is the form whose nature we described in the 4th chapter of Hilchot Yesodei HaTorah. This is the soul referred to in this context. So Rambam is stating that he's referring. The two terms of the soul are this neshama and nefesh. The neshama, he is saying, is a description of the kind of the energy that is within our bodies, the nervous system, the soul that is placed within the nervous system while we're alive. Once we die, that neshama is disconnected. But the nefesh that he's talking about is the spiritual form. It's like Hashem's neshama. The nefesh is like a godly, permanent thing that goes from one state to another. It's not just cut off like the neshama. It's the nefesh is a thing that comprehends God and other abstract matters. It's not the energy that keeps us alive, basically. Rambam continues, Chaim elu lefi she'ein imahem mavet she'ein mavet. Since this life is not accompanied by death, ela mima'arot haguf ve'en sham guf. For death is an event associated with the body. Nikra'u Torah Chaim, and alone, and in that realm there is no body. It is called the Torah HaChaim, the bond of life. Shenama, as it is said in Shmuel 25:29, V'haita nefesh Adoni Tzura Mitzvah Chaim, and the soul of my master will be bound up in the bond of life. V'zehu ha'sachar she'en schar l'ma'ala mimenu v'hatova she'en achareha tova. This is the reward above which there is no higher reward. V'hi she'ta'avu la kol hanavim, and the good beyond, and beyond this there can be no better thing. This was the good desired by all the prophets. So this is the connection between you and Hashem. This is the ultimate connection that our great ancestors, Moshe Rabbeinu, Avraham Avinu, managed to attain, this connection to God, a direct connection to God. This is what's desired by all the prophets, and this bond of life is something that we all aspire to, and is available to everybody if they make the efforts. Everybody in each generation. No one is forbidden, or it's not unavailable to anybody. It's up to us. We can all connect directly to Hashem, and Hashem wants us to. Hashem wants us to make the effort to achieve that ultimate connection. It's available to every single person.
Ki karov alecha hadavar. The thing is very close to you, in your heart and in your mind. I think it is. So in other words, Teshuvah can be attained at any point, at any time. It's a state of mind.
Yeah.
It's not a state of action necessarily. So first step is the state of mind. Once you change the state of mind, you can work on the action. That's why there's a famous thing that there's a question in the Gemara. If a man is under the chuppah with his intended, and he says, "Hari anim," he says, "Hari at Mokudeshili, you should be betrothed to me if I am a complete tzaddik." And he's known to be a gangster and a all the. But he says, that there's a safek kedushin. Is it a correct kedushin? Is it a valid kedushin or not? Because he's saying he's living one lifestyle, and he's saying, "Look, I'll be wed to you." if I'm a tzaddik? Obviously, he's not a tzaddik. He's a drug dealer.
Right.
So the answer is, it's a kosher kiddushin. It works. Why? Because how do you know in his head that he hasn't said, "I've left that behind now"?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm now. That is the past, and I'm moving on in the future. So it's a kiddushin because we don't know. It's a safek, and because of the safek, we are machmir, and we say that such a union requires a get because they could be married. So it just shows you that it's a state of mind. It's a state of mind. You can change it on a dime.
Yeah, correct. Halacha Dalet. Kama shemot nikva'u la derech mashal. How many metaphoric terms have been used to refer to Olam Haba? There are Har Hashem, the mountain of Hashem, Umakom Kodsho, and the holy place, V'derech HaKodesh, and the holy path, V'chatzrot Hashem, the courtyards of Hashem, V'noas Hashem, the pleasantness of God, V'ohel Hashem, the tent of God, V'heichal Hashem, the palace of God, Ubeis Hashem, and the house of God, V'shar Hashem, and the gate of God. All of these, many of these were from Tehillim, mentioned in Tehillim. So these are the various descriptions of Olam Haba in our literature. The sages referred to this good which is prepared for the righteous with the metaphor the feast. Generally it is referred to with the term the world to come. So I think you mentioned when we were doing our vegetarian series, you talk about the feast with Leviathan, and you were saying, how can you have fish if you are not supposed to eat? But the feast, he says here, the feast that we talk about is actually the world to come. So the good prepared for the righteous is the feast. So it's a metaphorical spiritual nourishment.
Yeah. And that you don't have to diet from. Definitely not.
No, exactly. No restrictions there. Halacha Hey, Hankama she'en hakama gedola mimena, the retribution beyond which there is no greater retribution, is kares nefesh v'lo tizka le'otan hachayim, is that the soul be cut off and not merit that olam haba. Shinama, as it is written, hakoris the koris nefesh ha'i one ba. This, as it says in Bamidbar, chapter 15, verse 31, this soul shall surely be cut off, his sin shall remain upon him. So Hashem is pretty brutal about when you sin, that this is the result, but he's equally lenient if you do teshuvah. So it's a severe punishment, but you can be wiped away as simply as a flick of the wrist if you do it in the right way. Rambam continues, V'zeh ha'avadon hu shekor'in oto hanvi'im derech mashal. This refers to the obliteration of the soul, which is referred to by the prophets with the following metaphoric terms, and there are various descriptions, mostly from Tehillim. For example, Be'er Shachat, the pit of destruction. This is Va'avadon, obliteration. V'tifateh, the bonfire. Va'alukah, and the leech. V'chol lashon kalaya v'hashchata ko'in lo. Lefi shehi hikla'a she'en achareha tekuma v'hahefsed. All these synonyms for nullification and destruction are used to refer to it for its ultimate nullification, after which there is no renewal, and the ultimate loss which can never be recovered. So behave yourselves. Halacha, but we're also reminded that at any point, even in these situations, the soul is never lost. Ultimately, there was always a part. There was always a hope that your soul will be. There's not utter nullification. There's always, if you do teshuvah, your soul will be restored to whatever situation you've put it in, because ultimately it's you who've placed it in the bad situation by your actions. Halacha Vav, Shema takel be'enecha tova zu, lest you think lightly of this good, of the world to come, v'tadmeh she'en tzcha hamitzvot ba'ayot ha'adam shalem b'darkei ha'emet, imagining that the reward for the mitzvot for a person completely following completely the paths of truths, ela lioto ochel v'shoteh ma'achalot tovot, and for him, thinking the reward for him is to eat and drink good foods, or va'alot surot na'avot, and to have sexual relations with beautiful forms, or lovesh bigdei shesh v'rikma, and to wear garments of linen and lace, v'shochen ma'alei Hashem, and to dwell in ivory palaces, u'mishtamesh bechlei kesef zahav, and use utensils of gold and silver, ודברים הדומים לאלו כמו שמדמים אלו הערביים הטיפשים והאבלים השטופים בזימה, or other similar ideas as conceived by the foolish decadent Arabs who are flooded with lewdness. So this description, which must have been a little bit confusing to you as I was reading it, relates to the Arabs. He talks about the decadent Arabs who perceive heaven as somewhere, if you martyr yourself or for some other reason, you will receive the reward of 72 virgins and this, that and the other. I never understood that, and he's saying how stupid they are to believe this. First of all, there's no physical there's no physical pleasure in Olam Haba, and also, forgive me for going off thinking, but why would 72 virgins be a reward if there's something that is immoral and is forbidden? Why? It's like saying to a Jewish person, once you get to Olam Haba, you can eat as many pork sandwiches as you want. You shouldn't want to have them anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a different thing. Rambam continues, Aval hachachamim uva'alei deya yid'u kol hadvarim ha'elu divrei haf'ai v'hevel hem. In contrast, the sages and men of knowledge know that all these matters are vain and empty things. She'en ve'en bahem ta'ulot ve'ena tova gedola atzleinu me'lam hazeh ela mipnei she'onu ba'alei guf u'gvia. These things that are without any purpose, they are only considered of great benefits to us in this world because we possess a body and a physical form. So don't imagine that you're or don't be duped into thinking that that you'll receive bodily pleasure like other nations do in the world to come. This can't happen. Anyway, the spiritual pleasure would be far greater. All of these matters are needs of the body. The soul only desires them and lusts for them because of the needs of the body. So that these desires will be fulfilled and its health maintained. In a situation where there is no body, in all of these matters they will be nullified. So the desires for bodily refreshment or whatever they won't exist. You won't desire these sort of things. But obviously the spiritual reward is greater. There is no way in this world to grasp, to comprehend the ultimate good which the soul will experience. There's no way in this world to comprehend the ultimate good which a soul will experience in the world to come. ולא אנו מסתעבין אבל אותה הדבר גדולה עד מאוד ואין לה אורך בטובות העולם הזה אלא דרך משל. We only know bodily good and that is what we desire. However, the ultimate good is overwhelmingly great and cannot be compared to the good of this world except in a metaphoric sense. אבל בדרך האמת שנערוך טובות הנפש בעולם הבא בטובות הגוף בעולם הזה במאכל ומשתייה אינו כן. In truth, there is no way to compare the good of the soul in the world to come to the bodily goods of this world. אלא אותה הדבר Chatova gedola ad enicheke. Rather, that good is infinitely great. Ve'en la orech v'dimon, and there is no comparison or likeness. Hu she'amar David. This is alluded to by King David's statement in Tehillim chapter 31 verse 20. Ma rav tuvcha asher tzafanta li'erecha. How great is the good that you have hidden for those who fear you. Rambam continues, halachas Zayin. V'kama kama David v'hit ava l'chaye olam haba. How much did King David desire the life of the world to come? Shne'emar in Tehillim, Lolei ha'amanti lirot betuv Hashem be'eretz chayim. It says in Psalms 27:13, had I not believed that I would see the goodness of God in the land of the living. The sages of the previous generations already informed us שטובת העולם הבא אין כוח באדם להשיגה על בריאה ואין יודע גדולה ויפה ויעצמה. That man does not have the potential to appreciate the good of the world to come in a full sense, nor can anyone know its greatness and beauty and power. Elah HaKadosh Baruch Hu levado, except for Hashem alone. So we don't have any comprehension of the physical satisfaction of Olam Haba. Only Hashem knows this, and please God, we will all know one day. ושקל הטובות שמתנבאים בהם הנביאים לישראל אינו אלא דברים שהגוף שנהם בהם ישראל למות המשיח בזמן שתשוב הממשלה לישראל. All the beneficence which the prophets promised Israel in their visions are only physical concerns which Israel will appreciate in the Messianic age when dominion over the world will return to Israel. Aval tovas chaye olam haba en la erech v'dimon. However, the good of the life of the world to come has no comparison or likeness. V'lo demuha hanaviim kedei shelo yifachatu ota b'dimyon. Nor was it described by the prophets, lest if they did describe it, it would diminish it. So there is no way that even the prophets could describe Olam Haba. I guess there's only one way to find out. Hu she'asu amar ayin lo ra'ata elokim zulatecha ya'aseh lemechakeh lo. This was implied by Isaiah's statement, no eye has ever seen Hashem except for you, what you will do for those who wait for you. Kaloma hatova shelo ra'ata ata en navi v'lo ra'a ata ela elokim asa ota lahalahim la'adam shemechakeh lo, i.e. the good which was not perceived by the vision of a prophet and is perceived by Hashem alone, this was created by God for those who wait for Him. So if you deserve it, you will receive what God alone knows that is waiting for you.
Waiting for you, yeah.
אמרו חכמים כל הנביאים כולן ולא נבאו אלא לימות המשיח אבל לעולם הבא עין לא ראתה אלוקים זולתך. The sages declared all the prophets only prophesied about the messianic age. However, regarding the world to come, and I quote, no eye has ever seen Hashem except for you. And verse halacha chet. The sages did not use the expression the world to come, with the intention of implying that this realm does not exist at present, or that the present realm will be destroyed, and then that realm will come into being. So he's saying that the Olam Haba exists now in another dimension. It's not that it will be in the future, but it's in our future. When we finish this session on earth, we will experience it. But it exists concurrently. En hadavar ken. The matter is not so. Ela harei hu matsuye omed. Rather, the world to come exists and is present. This is implied by Tehillim, chapter 31, verse 20. Asher tzafanta l'recha pa'alta. How great is the good that you have hidden, which you have made. V'lo kol'uhu olam haba ela mipnei sheyoten hachayim ba'in lo le'adam achar chayei olam hazeh she'anu kayomim bo b'guf v'nefesh v'zehu nimtza l'chol adam b'rishonah. It is only called the world to come because that life comes to a man after life in this world in which we exist as souls enclosed in bodies. This realm of existence is presented to all men at first. So Rambam was slated for this by the Ravid, again a scathing criticism. The Ravid suggested that Rambam doesn't believe in Techiyas HaMeisim. He was just talking about the world to come. Caused a huge controversy. Again, calls to have this particular book, the first book, the Sefer HaMadar, banned. There were petitions made. Rambam responded by composing something called the Igeres Techiyas HaMeisim, which is a treaty on Techiyas HaMeisim, which he explained what he was thinking. He basically said that no, the ultimate after Techiyas HaMeisim, that's what he was referring to, the worlds to come. He didn't deny. In fact, he was talking about in previous chapters in Hilchot Teshuvah chapter 3. We talked about the 24 people, the apostates, the atheists, and what they. And if someone denies the existence of the Mashiach and the Techiyas HaMeisim, he would lose his place in Olam Haba. So he actually previously supported this idea of Techiyas HaMeisim and the punishment for not believing in it. But still, the Ravid was critical of this. But so he brought out this treatise to explain. He wasn't referring to that. He was talking about the ultimate world to come, which is after the process of Techiyas HaMeisim. And so that concludes this chapter of Hilchot Teshuvah.
Very good, thank you very much. Wow, we're looking forward to the next chapter, B'ezrat Hashem, and we should all be zocher to Teshuvah Shlema. See you next time.